Yes, and welcome to today's broadcast of In the Tank Live with Aaron Harrison and Keith Deo. Coming at you on this Tuesday with a great topic, and that is as we think or as we thinketh. If you want to be into your Roman times, right? But as we think, so shall we be. So those of you that are in contact with me every day, as far as the messages that get, that's something that you saw Wayne Dyer speak about. It's something that I've really put to the test over time, and we've spoken about that before. And what we like to do is we like to dive in a little bit deeper each time with a topic, and allow you to feel how it feels today in this moment. And so when we bring that up, and when we specifically talk about thoughts before things, or thoughts create things and feelings. What's going on, man? You outside again? That's that
I'm
Starbucks.
outside, brother. Hey, listen, I had to get some car stuff done. So I said, you know what? Why don't I just go out and hang out here, man? Get some sunshine and some vitamin D. Let's go.
Nice. I love it. And so, Aaron, we're talking about as we think it, or as we think, so shall we be. And the reason why that statement
It's a
is so
dangerous
profound.
place.
What'd you say?
That could be a dangerous place.
Yes. And
As we
so,
think it, so we be. That's
right, because in order to do that, we have to take complete ownership of where it is we are. And the only moment and the only place that you are, if you're at complete peace, and why many people may misinterpret the lives we live, is because we are always in this moment. We have committed to ourselves, and this has been a while now, but we're getting better and better at it. We've committed to ourselves, and the people around us, especially you and I, as we hold each other accountable, to be in this moment and to make this moment all that matters. And so we know how important a thought is, especially when this is the only moment that we have. And so
right.
that's our metric. We know that if a thought comes up and we catch it, out of the 60,000, we choose the ones to catch. As we catch it, knowing we've only got about 5% of the thoughts that we have in a day that we can catch. So as we
Yep.
catch them, we talk about always having a metric. So we've got the metric we're using is this moment. Does this apply to this moment, and how am I feeling because of it? What have I created around me? Is it a result of the environment I'm in, or the people that are there, or is it a result of who I am being in the moment? And so that's why that statement has so much weight to it. And when you understand it and you truly get a grasp of it, it is one of those rules that you lay stake to, and that's what you live by. And if you really believe that as I think, so shall I be, you have complete control over every single moment in your life. And some people don't want that control. They don't want anything to do with it because it's too much ownership. And
Right.
and they get caught in the fear cycle. And if they take all that ownership, they've got to also take responsibility and accountability for where they are in the moment, not only where they are, but how they feel in the moment. And then in that place, they look less significant. So that is where they have this incongruency. And now what do I do? Because I don't like that feeling of feeling less significant. Because if I have to take full responsibility for what's going on in my world, that doesn't feel like significance. If to me, that's ultimate significance, because I am ultimately the one in control. And so if this view isn't something that you practice or something that you truly believe in, or even have an awareness of, it can be a scary place.
It sure can. And remembering the fact that either we do or we don't, we've made a decision, right?
Yes.
Either we decide to own it or not, we have some buy-in, right? Because we still have to live, and they're going to be a reflection on the outside, and you may or may not like it. And so you have a choice. You have a choice now to be able to decide which route you want to go. And so this is a great subject, because I know what goes on in my mind and my imagination, and how much I feed it and how much fun I have. And it starts to show up in ways on the outside by having amazing conversations with people. Like I was just sitting here waiting for my turn, and I was talking to a young man, and he just turned 54, and he's excited, and he seemed very defensive, right, to his openness, because I asked him, I said, okay, well, what 3 areas of your life are you looking to improve on? And he was just like, what?
You don't ask me that.
And it threw him off for a little bit. And as we talked a little more, I kept seeing how he was like, oh, that's good for you, man, good for you. And I was like, I asked you a question. And he was like, well, you know what I mean. No, I don't. I asked you a question. And you start to see how many people don't actually think about anything intentional, right? Everything is in reaction mode, right? They're almost like playing racquetball, and they're the ball, right? They have no idea what's hitting them around, but they're flying and smashing into everything. And so when we finally got to the tail end of the conversation, and he said, "Good for you," again, and I was kind of confused. And then I said, well, how can I help you? He goes, "Oh no, we good." And I said, "Okay, that's great. Like that's all I really wanted to know is like, what are you working on? Let's spend this time having a meaningful conversation." Because I'm thinking every environment I go into, there's some value I can give. I'm not looking for getting anything, right? Whereas a lot of people are looking at, maybe not even getting, because at that point it's going to cost them something, right? So they're like, well, I might as well just stay neutral with this. And so it's so important to start to discipline your mind in the way that you serve. And that goes for both yourself, what you serve yourself every day, because you got to put your oxygen mask on first, and then what you're serving on others. Because here's the thing: either way, there's going to be something in a reaction, and you're going to have to adjust or readjust. And so taking responsibility for that can be a scary place. However, once you really understand how powerful of a mind that you have, and that your eyeballs, right, are really just the windows, okay? And so what you're seeing is a reflection on how focused you really are about who you are and what your calling is. I think now we can start to educate people on not being afraid. I think that's the key. It's like when we take ownership on something, it's like, like, what is this going to cost me, right? What is this going to cost me? What do I got to sacrifice? What do I got to give up, right? Who am I going to change into? Who's not going to recognize me? Who's going to question what I've become? Who's going to question what decisions I make, right? And all of those things are questions that a lot of people don't want to have to answer. And so instead, they literally give up, and they sell it out. They sell it out to the point where they say, you know what, as long as I'm here and I have whatever I have, I'm willing to tolerate the pain of never growing. Because I saw a video yesterday, Keith, and it blew my mind. He talked about, what if we grew like a lobster? And he said, every time a lobster is in its shell, right? And when it starts to feel uncomfortable, it's forced to grow, and it goes back under a rock, it grows, and then it grows another shell, and then it goes again, it sheds its shell, and so it gets uncomfortable. And so he says, at what point does the lobster grow? And he says, when you feel uncomfortable. He says, so start to work on your life as growing like a lobster. And as you start to think these uncomfortable thoughts, and you start thinking, wow, I got to do more, I got to be more, like, wow, and then start to say, well, I don't want to spend that anymore, or I don't ever want to spend it, or I can't afford to live that lifestyle. Ask yourself, does it feel uncomfortable or comfortable? And if it's uncomfortable, maybe this is a sign for you to go ahead and make some decisions and think differently.
Yeah, Aaron, totally. I totally agree with that. I love the story of the lobster. And lobsters live forever. They have the same
until they get in my mouth, until I find them.
And then you find them, right? And then
put their ass in some butter.
Right. That's the real uncomfortable.
Thank you. I'm a maniac,
nature.
Right? My family's from Maine, so that's just part of the.
You're a maniac. That's
right.
Vitamin, so that's
vitamin L.
That's part of nature. And so, where I want to take that is, we also want to remember that to have a mind that's open to everything and attached to nothing.
There you go.
And if you have that mindset that Wayne Dyer reminds us of, and that I was reminded of today, knowing that it isn't until that mindset can be created that you will experience everything. So we want to look at everything as the experience, and as those experiences happen and cells are being created, you are creating every single second of every single day cells with a memory. And as they're coming up, the old ones are dying. Even if they're good memories and good energy signatures that are in those cells, as they die, you want to replace them with good energy again. And through those experiences, that's the memory they're going to have. Cells have memory as they're being created. And so as you continue to move on and move through life with a mind that's open to everything and attached to nothing, no thing, no place, no person, it's those attachments that ultimately put us in a state of fear and expectation. Because then we work to put things in a nice little box. And then we start to say, well, that's mine, that's theirs, that's not mine yet, I can't afford that. We make all these silly rules about the thing, about the person, about the place. And those rules create restriction. That's not congruent with a mindset of abundance in order to ultimately prosper. And so when you move forward, think about this. Next time you walk through a department store or you walk through a place that has those things that you're so attached to, and the mindset you have, even myself, I have a pretty consistent habit of looking for deals. I'll buy things that I don't need because they're on sale. That's how I was raised. I would buy it, right? Infomercials, I want it. 1995, oh, but you get two. Oh, but wait, you get free shipping. Oh, but buy one more. I'm all about that. And it's a mindset and a habit that I got into, that when I walk in a store, I almost always walk to the clearance rack. And I walk right by things. Yeah, I don't even give them an opportunity for me to say, you know what, I could see myself in that. That would be cool to experience that, or to have that feeling. And so I walk right to the clearance rack, because in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, I want to make sure that I'm getting the most value out of this. And there's also a voice inside my head that says, not only am I not looking at the thing that's full price as being as valuable, I've also got that voice in my head saying what I can and can't afford. And I've been there, and I am now working on that. So now when I walk in a store, I make sure that I stop in the front. I make sure that I stop in the front of the store where everything is full price. And
it's
I
brand new.
It's fresh. And I want to have a different mindset, because that's the latest and greatest style, is that stuff that's in the front. And so I want to make sure that I'm taking that all in. And I'm seeing myself, visualizing myself walking in and finding something to use as and leverage for an experience, not to have. It's not in the possession that I look to wear things. It's not in the possession that I look to attain things. It's I look to the having of something as what can I do? How can I leverage this in order to have an experience that I can then learn from or enjoy with others or myself, so that I can move forward throughout this moment as my best self. Because these are the things that I require. That's what my standards are. And so I've totally made that shift. So as you go around today, and as you walk around today and meet people and experience things and look at things, or go to the store, or you see the organic aisle in the supermarket, and you're like, man, I know that's where I want to be, but that stuff's expensive. What are you comparing it to? What value propositions are you having? Is that truly an abundant mindset? Or do you turn it on and off so that there's incongruencies in your universe, and you're constantly not in a thought pattern to bring about the very thing that you desire?
Right. And don't let go of your imagination.
Yes. There's always a way.
It's there, and that costs nothing. Right? The fact of whether or not it's right now and what you can touch is merely the fact that you haven't focused enough on what it is that you imagine. Because, you know, the mind is so powerful, and it doesn't know the difference between what's vividly imagined and what you can physically touch, right? You can physically touch a dream. You know, I was talking to my 4-year-old this morning, and I always, you know, his routine is he wants to snuggle a little bit, right? And he wants me to ask how his day was. Right? When he wakes up in the morning, he wants me to ask him how his day was and how was his dreams. And he goes, they were fantastic, Daddy.
Yes.
And so I said, so what did you dream about? He goes, me and you. I said, what were we doing? He's like, playing. And I said, what game were we playing? He made up some word. And I said, really? I said, you're gonna teach me how to play that later? He goes, yeah. After school, we're gonna play that game. And I said, all right, you ready to go potty? And he got up and he walked off to the bathroom, gave me a high five. And so that routine, right? He helps me realize how powerful the mind is and really what you're focusing on. And I really want to encourage everybody to focus less on what you don't want and focus most on what you do want every single second of the day, even in those tough situations, right? Receive that. Receive it to say, hey, this is someone or something shaking my snow globe to make it beautiful, to make it less stagnant, right? Let my life not be sedentary, but one of activity. Like that's what's happening when you get shook up. And I love how Eric Worre says, he goes, make the worst situation the best day of your life.
Yes.
Right? Because if you can do that and you can shift that, you can grow and learn through that. And isn't that what life's about, right? Experiences and things teaching you what you like and dislike about things that you don't want, right? And say, okay, well, I want to move forward and I want to focus being active on what I do want every single day, whether I'm living it, physically and walking it, or I'm imagining it and I'm flying in it.
Yeah, I love that, Aaron. And so for everybody that showed up live on the broadcast today, the likes, the loves, the comments, remember that's the heartbeat and the breath of the broadcast. And for those of you, the hundreds and thousands of people that are going to see this all over the globe, those that have this video shared and they view it, they've been suffering in silence, exactly what they need. We will see you continue to comment, like, and love and share. As we all know, the more this lives within, the more you get to live without. And we will see you tomorrow on In the Tank Live with Aaron Harrison and Keith Dale.
Peace.